Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of our nonprofit organization, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, or THCF, and our affiliated political committee, CRRH, or the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp. We have an exciting show for you tonight. We have our regular hemp news. There are a lot of interesting things going on out there in the world of cannabis and hemp. Mr. Tim Pate is here to sing some songs for you. We have some film clips we'll be showing and more, so just stay tuned. And we're going to show you, as we always do, our infamous dancing cannabis leaves. Here they are. Right, our first story tonight is from New Mexico. New Mexico Governor and Democratic presidential candidate Bill Richardson ordered the New Mexico State Department of Health today to resume planning of a medical marijuana program despite the department's worries about possible federal prosecution. However, the governor stopped short of committing to implement a state-licensed production and distribution system for the drug if the potential for federal prosecution remains unchanged. The department announced earlier this week that it would not implement the law's provision for the department to oversee the production and distribution of marijuana to eligible patients. That decision came after Attorney General of New Mexico, Gary King, warned the New Mexico Department of Health that its employees could face federal prosecution for carrying out the law, which took effect this July. The distribution and use of marijuana are illegal under federal law. Today, Richardson directed the department to plan for the full implementation of the program, such as preparing the regulations that will permanently govern how it operates. Under the law, the department is to issue the rules by October, including for licensing marijuana producers and developing a system to distribute the drug to qualified patients. However, Gilbert Gallegos, a spokesman for the governor, said a decision would be made later whether to implement the production and distribution system if the federal prosecution remained possible. Gallegos said the administration was pursuing possible legal options to allow the state to provide patients with access to medical marijuana. He said he could not provide details of what was being considered. The new state law allows for the use of marijuana for pain and other symptoms of debilitating illnesses such as cancer, glaucoma, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, HIV or AIDS, and certain spinal cord injuries. New Mexico is the 12th state to legalize marijuana for certain medical uses, but it's the only one calling for state-licensed production and distribution of the drug. King advised the State Department that U.S. Supreme Court rulings make clear that the manufacture and distribution of marijuana, even for medical use, is illegal, and that federal authorities have prosecuted people for growing medical marijuana. Even before Governor Richardson's announcement, the department planned to continue to certify patients as eligible to possess marijuana. That protects the individuals from state prosecution, but it leaves them to find their own supply of cannabis, potentially growing it themselves, or obtaining it from a friend or from drug dealers. About 30 people in New Mexico have been approved to participate in the program since the law took effect in July. Advocates of the program applauded Richardson's decision to have the state prepare to implement a system for producing and distributing marijuana to patients. Aurora Bleck of Santa Fe, who's enrolled in the state program, said in a statement, quote, "My biggest problem is finding marijuana. The control and distribution of medical marijuana through legal, safe channels under the jurisdiction of the state of New Mexico has so much potential for good," end quote. It's a story from the Associated Press written by Barry Macy of the Associated Press today, August 17, 2007. Our next story is also from today from physicians.org. Administering a substance found in cannabis can help the body's natural protective system alleviate an allergic skin disease, allergic contact dermatitis. An international group of researchers from Germany, Israel, Italy, Switzerland, and the U.S. has found allergic contact dermatitis is caused by reaction to something that directly contacts the skin. Many different substances or allergens can cause allergic contact dermatitis. Usually those substances cause no trouble for most people, but if the skin's sensitive or allergic to the substance, any exposure will produce a rash, which may become very severe. Allergic contact dermatitis affects about 5% of men and 11% of women in industrialized countries and is one of the leading causes for occupational diseases. An article describing the work of the international research group led by Dr. Andreas Zimmer from the University of Bonn was published recently in the journal Science. The article deals with alleviating allergic skin disease through what's called the endocannabinoid system, or naturally occurring marijuana-like compounds. Among the members of the group is Professor Raphael McCoolum of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem School of Pharmacy. In earlier work, Professor McCoolum's research group at the Hebrew University isolated two naturally occurring cannabinoids, or cannabis-like components, one from the brain named anandamide. Anandamide is from the word ananda, meaning supreme joy in Sanskrit. Another from the intestines named 2-AG. These two cannabinoids, plus their receptors and various enzymes, are involved in the cannabinoid synthesis and degradations, comprise the endocannabinoid system. Dr. McCoolum of Hebrew University also discovered THC and the entire endocannabinoid system. He discovered THC back in 1972 and the endocannabinoid system, or the body's natural marijuana-like compounds, in 1992. These materials have similar effects to those of the active components in hashish and marijuana produced from cannabis. Research by groups throughout the world has since shown that the endocannabinoid system is involved in many physiological processes, including the protective reaction of the mammalian body to a long list of neurological diseases such as multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. In the article in Science, the researchers detail how the endocannabinoid system serves as a major regulator of skin contact hypersensitivity in a mouse model. In this model, they showed, for example, that mice lacking cannabinoid receptors displayed exacerbated inflammatory skin responses to an allergen. So that is from physicians.org, about a recent article in Science magazine. Our next story is from College Station, Texas. The enactment of state laws legalizing the medical use of cannabis is not associated with an increase in the drug's recreational use, according to statistical data published in the Journal of Drug Policy. Investigators at the Texas A&M, or Agriculture and Machinery Health Sciences Center, Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics, analyzed cannabis use trends among two high-risk subgroups, arrestees and emergency room patients, in 5 cities and 5 metropolitan areas in states that have enacted medical cannabis laws. In the 4 states, California, Colorado, Oregon, and Washington, they analyzed, researchers reported, quote, the introduction of medical cannabis laws was not associated with an increase in cannabis use, end quote. Previous studies performed by the University of Michigan and others also reported that liberalizing marijuana penalties is not associated with an increase in cannabis use. Texas A&M investigators speculated that the passage of medical cannabis laws may de-glamorize the drug's use and thereby does little to encourage its use among other non-medical patients. A previous study of state medical marijuana policies by the U.S. General Accounting Office, or GAO, reported that the laws have not led to widespread abuses among the general public. Fears that allowing physician-supervised use of medical cannabis will send a mixed message to young people or lead to significant spike in cannabis's personal use are clearly unfounded. Such concerns, though popular among opponents of cannabis law reform, are based on rhetoric, not fact, and should not guide public policy. The full text of this study, Do Medical Cannabis Laws Encourage Cannabis Use?, appears in the May issue of the International Journal of Drug Policy. Well, the world's largest annual cannabis protest festival is to take place this weekend in Seattle, the Seattle Hemp Fest. In fact, our esteemed Tim Pate, who will join us here in just a moment, has opened every single Seattle Hemp Fest to date, as he will be opening our Portland Hempstock Festival, and he's opened all those too. The event organizer expecting 250,000 attendees at this weekend's 16th annual Seattle Hemp Fest, taking place this Saturday and Sunday at Myrtle Edwards Park in downtown Seattle. More than 70 speakers and 60 bands will participate on 5 stages during the 2-day event, which is now recognized as the largest marijuana law reform gathering in the world. Speakers at the event this year will include PBS travel host Rick Steves, as well as George Rybacher and the musical reggae artist Pato Batan, famous for his song, I Do Not Sniff the Coke, I Only Smoke Sensimilla. The Seattle Area Hemp Fest is an all-volunteer effort and is free to all attendees. Donations are encouraged and attendees are urged to ride public transportation to the event. For a complete schedule of this year's Seattle Hemp Fest speakers and events, go to hempfest.org. That's hempfest.org. In Canada, they've approved a cannabis spray for cancer pain. Preemptive use of cannabinoids enhances pain relief, according to a new study out of Montreal, Quebec. The daily administration of synthetic cannabinoid agonist WIN55212-2 prior to surgery produces enhanced analgesic activity in an animal model of neuropathic nerve pain, according to preclinical data published in the European Journal of Pharmacology. Investigators at the University of Montreal reported that the preemptive administration of this endocannabinoid in the days leading up to surgery produced greater pain relief than did the administration of the drug immediately prior to surgery. And although, it said, quote, although WIN55212-2 decreased mechanical skin pain and thermal hyperalgesia in neuropathic animals, the group receiving preemptive administration had significantly greater anti-hypergenic and anti-allodynic effects. I hope I said that right. Compared with the group receiving it before surgery, the authors concluded. Previous clinical trial data of the endocannabinoid indicates that the agonist can significantly reduce brain inflammation and improve memory in an animal model of Alzheimer's. Administration of the drug has also been associated with the inhibition of prostate cancer cells. Clinical trial data published earlier this year by investigators at San Francisco General Hospital and the University of California's Pain Clinical Research Center reported that inhaling cannabis significantly reduced HIV-associated neuropathy compared to placebo. The full text of this study, Preemptive Effects of a Synthetic Cannabinoid in the Model of Neuropathic Pain, appears in the European Journal of Pharmacology. That is the end of our Hemp News segment for tonight. And we're going to introduce Mr. Tim Pate. How are you doing, Tim? Very well. You ready to open the Seattle Hemp Fest tomorrow?
I am ready to open.
That's quite a dance. You're dancing between here. We've got a Hempstock meeting tonight. You're the main organizer now, the event coordinator for our Hempstock Festival here in Portland.
We are going to have a good show on all counts.
Yeah, I think so.
I think every show is going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to each of them. So, as well as we just might as well continue doing what we're doing because it seems to be working so far.
I agree. So you have a wonderful song for us tonight?
I'm going to play the song that I always open at the Seattle Hemp Fest with. It's a little different. Some people stand when I play this, and some people walk away. Some people won't play it with me, and some people like, why are you playing that song for? But I always play it because this is our country too. So this is our national anthem, actually, my version.
All right.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in there, gave proof through the night that a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
I wondered how you were going to deal with those high notes, you know. You did great there. I like that. Your guitar playing is a little bit different than Jimi Hendrix's, but...
I actually had to play that. I got to open for Leon Hendrix twice, and I
remember that.
I played that song. I had the nerve to actually play that song when Leon opened for Leon Hendrix. It's
all right.
Such is life, you know.
That is a good one. Hey, if you're out there and you're watching tonight, the 17th of August, 2007, then you can call us. The number that's right there on your screen. It's 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour. And so, if you're, you can also see this show on YouTube. You can watch it anytime. So, there you have it. Give us a call, 503-288-4448. We have these nifty new flyers. Maybe I can get somebody to close in on them like you, Camera 2, and get a picture of that. This is our new flyer for the Hempstock Festival, which is coming up. Oh, it's not in focus yet. You got to practice that one a little bit. Hey, you know what? We're all volunteers. Hey, that looks pretty good. There.
Hey.
Oh, we're flashing around. Well, I'll tell you what. While they're doing that, I'll take a phone call. Hello, caller. Oh, they hung up on us. Hey, well, now it's... Oh, hello.
I can hear you now.
We can hear you, too.
Yeah, I was just wanting to ask about some clones. I have some clones that have a little bit of spider mite damage on there.
I hate that.
Yeah, it's a tough issue. And I just transplanted them last night. What's the best product that you found to get rid of them?
I think neem oil out there, and the best one that I found is a brand name called Greenlight that is clarified neem oil. And there's a lot of different neem oils out there, but the one that is clarified sticks to the plant surface a lot better.
Right.
And
so, when I use that, can I use a penetrator product?
Well, the thing is, clarified neem oil already is naturally penetrates. It's got a little bit of soap in there. It'll work real well, but it can't hurt.
Right.
Also, neem oil can be used systemically. That means if you put it in the soil, the plant will pick it up. Now, the thing about neem oil is it has its own flavor that's very different from cannabis.
Yes, it does.
So you don't want to use it anywhere, especially systemically during the flower cycle or on the surface of the plant within 5 or 6 weeks of harvest.
Yeah, it's got a definite unique smell. It tastes like...
I don't like it myself.
Right out there, it tastes nasty.
Yeah, compared to the nice sweet flavor of cannabis that we all know and love.
Absolutely.
And the neem oil definitely detracts.
And do you suggest at the end of the 2-week flushing period in the plant, any carbohydrate, like sweet, carbo loads, anything?
You know, there's a lot of different products like they're out on the market. I don't really recommend that myself because I like to taste the actual cannabis without all the the other little things that they can put into those chemicals.
Right. I use Sweet personally. It has the orange hint of flavor to it. And I noticed that stuff like Northern Lights is kind of a bland flavor. It actually adds a fruity scent to it.
Yeah, it can do that. Those things at the last second.
Benefit.
There are a lot of different products like that. More and more of them out on the market all the time.
Yeah, if we could just get Advanced Nutrients to be allowed to send their whole product line down into America, we'd have some really, really good products.
Yeah, probably so.
Well, you guys keep up the good work, and
all right. Well, thanks for your question. You have a good evening. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
So there you got to see the little banner of our Hemp Stock Festival. That's coming up here on September 8th and 9th. Stay tuned. It should be an exciting event. It's going to be this is not going to be downtown at Waterfront Park this year. We got cheated out of that by the Portland City Parks. We're going to have to fight to get back there next year. But this year, we got our permit late, just about less than a week and a half ago. And so we just have to get ready for Sellwood Riverfront Park. That's where we're going to be, Sellwood Riverfront Park, on the 8th and the 9th of September. And they're going to be an all-day event. We do have another caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show. Hello.
Howdy.
Hey.
Hey, I have a question. I've been approached by somebody to become a caregiver, and just want to know what's involved with that and how to go about doing that.
Well, to be a caregiver, you basically are taking responsibility for growing medical marijuana for a patient. Now, the plants remain the property of the patients, and the patient can decide to get those plants or to change caregivers at any time. I recommend that you come to a firm agreement in terms of what you expect and what the patient expects. There's always unexpected things when you're cultivating cannabis, like that fellow a while ago was talking about. There's spider mites, there are a lot of different diseases, there's potential for accidental overfeeding or underfeeding. So you've got to be prepared for ups and downs in the cultivation cycle.
Right.
There's a learning curve for anyone who's cultivating cannabis or anything else. And of course, at first, you're learning, and it'll take a while to master all the various techniques of cloning and flowering and the vegetative cycle.
Right.
So you have to be prepared for that as well.
What about growing outdoors?
It makes it a lot easier. There are outdoor pests that wipe out the pests that can cause problems indoors, because the predators of those pests don't get indoors as easily as spider mites, for instance.
Right.
But
well, I've heard that
it's too late this year to grow outdoors.
Right.
If you're going to start flowering almost immediately, and you're going to be ready to harvest in about, what would it be, 7 or 8 weeks now.
Well, I have some experience with that, but not necessarily as a caregiver. And the other thing I was wondering, is there information? I think I'd heard you mention one other time, one of your other shows, about the cost. Of course, all you can use is the cost of your water and
yeah, exactly. According to Oregon's law.
Right.
Oregon's law says explicitly that caregivers or people growing for medical patients can only be compensated for their out-of-pocket expenses. Now, that could include rent, or could include utilities, it could include supplies, but they cannot be compensated for their time,
right,
according to Oregon law.
Right. How does the rent, or if you own your property, how does that? Is there a formula? For
well, basically, it would be a percentage of your property.
Okay.
If you're using 10% of your property to cultivate cannabis, well, then that you could readily say that 10% of your rent was going to that. And
or your mortgage or whatever. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Whatever the cost is that you're associated with. Or, if you have an old mortgage, for instance, you could have bought a house here in Portland for $30,000 about 20 years ago.
Right.
You can charge the current rates.
Right. Okay. To get information or to get hooked up with this, would I go through CRH or?
Yeah, or through hemp.org. Just go to our newest website, it'll link you to our others.
Oh.
And that's www.hemp.org.
Okay. Well,
yeah, CRRH is more of a political site, but it can
Okay.
get you into it.
Okay, well, thank you.
Hemp.org will direct you more toward the medical nonprofit site.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And I want to congratulate Tim. That's one of the best renditions of the national anthem I've ever heard. It's fantastic. So
Thank you.
Congratulate him.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. Thanks. Okay, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
That's a good comment.
I like those comments.
Yeah, of course you do.
I hate spider mites, though.
Me too.
Oh.
Me too. We are the bane of indoor growers.
They are.
You know, driving down the highway through the gorge, you can see big nests of spider mites in the alder trees that line the Columbia
my.
Gorge there. So no wonder they get in everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just see masses of them up there.
That's the truth.
Those nasty buggers. Now there is a list of conditions right there on your screen. Those are the conditions for which medical marijuana is allowed in Oregon, Washington, California, Hawaii, Colorado, Nevada, and altogether 12 states right now. And so chronic pain is the largest single condition. I would say that 60%, maybe 65% of all the medical marijuana permits are for a chronic pain condition. Also, spastic conditions like multiple sclerosis or anything that causes chronic severe muscle spasms, and seizure disorders like epilepsy also qualify, as does chronic nausea and other gastrointestinal ailments that cause it, like IBS, which is also a spastic condition. GERD, obviously, that causes nausea. Crohn's disease, other diseases like that. Cancer qualifies, as does glaucoma and asthma, which is also a spastic condition, and hepatitis C, which causes pain and nausea as well. So if you have any of those conditions, then we have doctors who can help you get a medical marijuana permit throughout the western United States. In the Portland area, you can call us at 503-235-4606 for that physician referral. That's 503-235-4606. Up in Seattle, the Seattle number is 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. In Denver, we have another number there. It's 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. Happy to say this show has just started to air in Durango, Colorado, coming soon to Telluride and Aspen, and it's been running in Denver for about a year now. And if you're outside of those major metropolitan areas, though, outside of Portland, Seattle, or Denver, we have a toll-free number for people throughout Colorado, Oregon, Washington, California, Nevada, and Hawaii. You can call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. I guess we have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hey, I was wondering a good spot to get a vaporizer.
You know, there's a lot of good spots out there. I can say that the folks out at Pipes Palace have donated one to us. They're out on North Lombard. Over on the Beaverton-Hillsdale Highway, or over in Beaverton, not on the Beaverton-Hillsdale Highway, but in Beaverton, Puffin Palace has also donated one to us. Both of those places have really good prices here in town.
Do you recommend any certain kind?
Well, I prefer, myself, the Volcano Vaporizer, but there are several out there with heat guns and other things. I really like the Volcano Vaporizer myself the best.
And is there any kind of way insurance can pay for it?
I'm not sure. You'd have to contact your insurance company. It is a medical delivery device. I have heard of people getting their insurance to pay for it before, but...
But not exactly how they did it?
Yeah, I'm not absolutely certain.
Okay. Great, thanks.
Smoke signals also is a recommended spot. So there's a lot of them out there, though. Now we have a film clip. We'll be back in just a second, and hope you enjoy this film clip, and we'll explain it in just a sec. Enjoy.
The book's credibility got a boost from Jack's discovery of this 14-minute documentary. Supposedly made by the U.S. government 5 years after the Marijuana Tax Act. Its purpose was to encourage farmers to grow outlawed hemp during World War II.
long ago, when these ancient Grecian temples were new, hemp was already old in the service of mankind. For thousands of years even then, this plant had been grown for cordage and coarse cloth in China and elsewhere in the East. But now, with Philippine and East Indian sources of hemp in the hands of the Japanese, and shipment of jute from India curtailed, American hemp must meet the needs of our Army and Navy as well as of our industries. In 1942, patriotic farmers, at the government's request, planted 36,000 acres of seed hemp, an increase of several thousand percent. The goal for 1943 is 50,000 acres of seed hemp. For to grow hemp legally, you must have a federal registration and tax stamp. This is provided for in your contract. Ask your AAA committeeman or your county agent about it. Don't forget,
Jack often staged public showings of hemp for victory to validate his history of the plant. He also used the film as an example of government deception and hypocrisy. But he was stunned one day in 1988 to get a call from a newspaper reporter questioning the authenticity of the film.
Well, Mr. Hare, we went out to check the information, and we found nobody that would corroborate your story, that this movie was even ever made. You said this movie was made by the United States government, this movie Hemp for Victory. That if there would be any evidence that the government ever made such a film, it would be in the Library of Congress, it would be in the Department of Agriculture. It is in neither place.
His reputation on the line, Jack and his friends went on an excursion to Washington, D.C.
We were just determined to find the documentation that made it a credible government movie made by the U.S. government and not made by Jack. We didn't see it as detective work. We just saw it as we were on a mission. We're on a mission from God.
Many others before Jack had searched the Library of Congress for proof of the documentary's existence and found none. In a day of digging, Jack ran into the same lack of evidence.
After deciding to give up, we decided to give it one more try.
In a dusty old book, hidden among clutter in a back room, they found it. The official Library of Congress documentation. Indeed, the film had been made by the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Hemp for Victory.
Hemp for Victory. That is from the 1942 film from the United States Department of Agriculture. That film had disappeared, and Jack found it in the archives at the Library of Congress. So that's a very interesting and good documentary film.
It is. It is. Woke up a lot of eyes back then, and it's still waking them up now.
Now, we have someone here in the studio on our side mic. If you come down to our studio audience, not only do you get to meet and greet us and have a lot of fun, but you also could take the microphone and ask a question or make a statement, just like this fellow's about to. How are you doing, Michael?
Real well, thank you, Paul.
Good.
I was sitting at home on my computer, and I came out with something really interesting. You know, we've got less than a month until hemp stock, and
3 weeks.
3 weeks, and I was sweating. How are we going to let everyone know about it? Then I started remembering the old thing about putting 1 grain of rice on a chessboard, then 2 on the next, and 4 on the next. And I came up with a plan, then I ran it through the computer, and it works out really neat. Everyone out there, you know 5 people or more who might want to come to Hempstock? Call them. Tell them Saturday and Sunday, the 8th and 9th of September, Selwood Riverside Park. Tell them you're calling 5 or more people, ask them to come, and ask them to call 5 or more people. By the 8th of September, everyone between Hawaii and the Rocky Mountains will have heard that might want to come, will have heard it at least twice. Everyone in the United States that might want to attend will have heard it at least once. Your chances in Europe and Great Britain drop to only a 25% chance of having heard. If we do it, we will fill that park, and we will show the Parks Department just what they're losing for downtown business.
That's a good point there. Thank you for that comment. I guess we do have a telephone caller as well. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Yeah, I was wondering if emphysema would qualify me for being able to get some pot.
No, emphysema in and of itself is not a qualifying condition.
Well, if I had asthma with it, would that wouldn't qualify me?
Asthma is a spastic condition. Emphysema, you could eat cannabis to control that. And so lung diseases in general, people with obstructive lung disease are not recommended for smoking cannabis. In fact, our doctors will tell you, don't mix the two. And so if you have emphysema, eating cannabis would be an option. I would say don't smoke it.
Okay, what happens if I eat it? Wouldn't it be okay
that way? It would help
that
control your spasms. Eating cannabis will give you a big dose of CBD. The THC in cannabis is useful for nausea and as an appetite stimulant and for some psychological conditions. But to control spasms, pain, and seizures, CBD in cannabis, which doesn't really give you a psychoactive high, it will work, and it works better when it is eaten or taken orally. Even the leaf, which doesn't have THC but does have CBD, can be useful for patients that have muscle spasms, seizures, pain, and glaucoma.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
If you have a question for us out there tonight, the 17th of August, 2007, call us at 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls for, about another 20 minutes or so here.
Well, if we don't have that much time left, we should talk about hemp stock.
We should.
It is coming. We, as you've already heard, we are going to have a hemp stock. And over the last few weeks, a number of us have been working with the city to make certain that this happen. And because of the opportunities that we have right now, we do expect to have a very good show. We've made a lot of progress over the last week. Not only we've gotten some cooperation with the city, we also have a location that we've spotted out and planned some really nice event. God, I'm twisting my words up here. We're going to have a good show. We're going to have a good show. Not only do we invited Tommy Chong, we also we're going to bring back Los Marijuanos. I intend to open, and it's a thrill for me to open that show, like it has been for many years. We also, Bingy and the Seventh Seal Reggae Band is going to be there. Late Night Freakout Odyssey is signed up. Dylan Brewer is coming. Equal Eyes from Portland, from Idaho will be there. And
a really great comedian by the name of Derek Cameron is going to be there. He's been on HBO and the Comedy Channel. Yeah. He's really funny, and it's not that dirty sort of humor. This guy has straight, non-offensive comedy.
We also have another comedian in Gaio, and he's a national comedian. I actually had an opportunity last year to play the Hemposium at the Seattle Hemp Fest after I opened. He introduced our band, and they actually recorded that and put it on the podcast for the National Normal website. And
just this week.
And well, that was last year.
That was last year.
They reused it yesterday, so I was listening to yesterday's podcast for the National Normal show, and who other than Russ Belleville was also on the show. So it seemed like it was a whole bunch of locals and people who were going to be having their come up, because Russ will be one of the speakers. We've asked the ACLU to come and speak and talk about freedom of speech and other issues. In fact, if you have anything to do with that spare $10 in your pocket, make sure you send it to the ACLU.
Tell them thank you for helping medical marijuana patients and getting this year's Hemp Stock Festival going. Our organization has much to be thankful for, with the American Civil Liberties Union helping to quash a subpoena for patient records and helping us put our Hemp Stock Festival on. This festival would not have happened without the intercession of the ACLU.
It's the truth.
Yeah, so we want to thank them and urge you to donate to the American Civil Liberties Union and tell them thanks for helping with the Hemp Stock Festival and to protect medical marijuana patients. They've been on the forefront.
We can use some more volunteers. Call the office.
That's right. Call us at that number. It's 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. And Sylvia is the person who will be coordinating that phone list there. We also will be having a general volunteer meeting at the Sellwood Riverfront Park at Sunday at 4 o'clock on August the 2nd to train volunteers.
Probably
September. Yeah. August already happened. Sorry. September the 2nd, Sunday, September 2nd at Sellwood Riverfront Park at 4 o'clock. We'll be training volunteers for the following week. So give us a call and get involved. We can certainly use your help. We need a lot of volunteers to make this thing happen.
We do. We want to have a safe, peaceful, wonderful show, just like the last year and the year before. And I'm certain we can do that with your help.
That's right. I think we have another caller, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, I was just wondering, where exactly is the park located in Portland?
It's right by Oaks Park at the east side of the Sellwood Bridge. That's over in far southeast Portland, right by Oaks Park there. It's Sellwood Riverfront Park, not to be confused with Sellwood Park. I want to urge you to turn your television down when you're calling in and all that, too, because you get the little 3-second delay. I can hear myself there.
All right, sorry about that.
That's okay. Thanks for that. That's a good question. We will be at Sellwood Riverfront Park on September 8th and 9th. That's Saturday and Sunday, September 8th and 9th. We'll have Tommy Chong as our MC. We'll have a special benefit on Saturday night. He'll be signing autographs. You can get your picture taken with him. He's got T-shirts, and it'll be a lot of fun. State of Jefferson will be there. They're also playing, like you, at the Hemp Fest on the main stage on tomorrow.
They are.
It's only coming up tomorrow. You must be getting ready. You're going to drive up there immediately tonight?
Nope. I avoid all those Friday night parties because I have to give my energy on stage at 11 o'clock to open and play for an hour, and then I'm going to be playing on the Sealy stage as well at 2 o'clock for an hour. So I've got 2 hours of performance tomorrow, and I usually drive up early in the morning. I'll probably leave about 4 or 5 in the morning and get up there with a mind on, ready to perform.
All right. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show. Hello, caller. Caller, can you hear me? Well, we tried.
We did.
If you have a question for us tonight, call us. That number on your screen, it's 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. I hear a caller out there. Hello, caller.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Being so plastics made from petroleum in food products, food containers, water containers, etc., some are worse than others. Would the plastic made from hemp seed oil, would it contain that same bad chemical, which is about a 7-syllable word?
Exactly. It would not. Hemp does not contain all those toxins that petroleum has. And anything made from petroleum can be made from hemp, only it's safer and less poisonous. Just imagine if when the Exxon Valdez dropped their big super cargo container of oil into Prince William Sound up in Alaska and wiped out the wildlife all up and down the beaches there for 50, 60 miles, killed all those animals, birds and seals and whales. What if they had dumped a load of hemp seed oil? I mean, instead of killing all the birds, they'd be healthier. It'd be, instead of having to rescue them, they'd be helped and it'd be beneficial for them. It's just cannabis oil is not toxic. And anything that can be made from petroleum can be made from hemp seed oil. And hemp seed is 3 times more productive than any other seed oil crop, according to studies out of Notre Dame University.
Keeping that in mind, why is our government funds being wasted through the DEA of going out and busting hemp farmers and marijuana farmers when they could be busting these meth addicts, which are ruining our identity?
Look at the White House to have the answer. Who do we have in the White House? The son of an oil man. He lost several $1 million of other people's money drilling from oil in North Texas. President Bush comes from a long line of oil well drillers, and they get their money from oil. Now, the thing about oil is it's capital intensive. It takes tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars to go out there and drill for oil. It takes tens of billions of dollars to refine it into fuel and other products like plastics and so on, where hemp doesn't take anything hardly to grow it. It takes a little $2,000 seed press to squeeze the oil out of it. And if from an acre of hemp, you can get 4 tons of seeds. Now, that's according to Notre Dame University in 1975, an article called Feral Hemp in Southern Illinois. Feral means wild. So they tested the wild hemp in Southern Illinois, found that it produces 4 tons of seeds per acre. And you press that and you get over 300 gallons of oil. The byproduct is that 4 tons of seeds drops down to 3 tons of high-protein hemp seed meal. And the other byproduct of cultivating that seed crop is you also get 25 tons of hemp hurd material, which according to the United States Department of Agriculture, just that waste product alone produces 4 times more paper than trees. And you get another 5 or 6 tons of hemp bast material that can be used to make canvas, rope, lace, and linen. So we're talking about something, instead of putting all the money in the hands of despotic tyrants in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf, Red Sea, and over in the Persian Gulf, we can be giving that money to farmers around the world. They created the marijuana myth to centralize their money, and it's really about the further centralization of economic and political control. That's what hemp prohibition is really about.
You know, you mentioned a few weeks back, Dennis Kucinich was one person that would be pro-hemp, and then also Ron Paul. Was that correct?
That's right. You know, both of them, I've had the great honor of meeting both of those people. Dennis Kucinich was a guest on this show twice. Back when he was running for president in 2004, and we hope to have him again. He was down at a benefit for the Marijuana Policy Project in Normal in Austin, Texas last weekend. And Ron Paul also is a libertarian and a believer in legalizing industrial hemp and has been an advocate in the United States Congress for that. My ideal presidential race would be Kucinich against Ron Paul, and I'd feel like, you know, marijuana prohibition couldn't lose because either one of those as president would definitely end it.
Well, exactly. And if you've watched the news at all lately, as a kind of related story with the DEA and stuff, them doing their job supposedly, why don't they? I mean, we've got a crisis right now, an identity crisis, as far as everybody's identity is being stolen. Their financial life is being ruined left and right by these tweakers. And if the DEA, I mean, I'd like to see the DEA, instead of wasting my tax money, your tax money, and everybody else who's watching the show's tax money, instead of wasting all of that going after harmless hemp, go after the people that are actually causing damage to society. And we're talking not just in a small amount, but if you listen to any of these news reports, it's absurd the number of people that have their identity stolen, and their financial situation is just totally ruined for years.
For many years. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm sure almost every viewer of this show agrees with that as well.
Well, I'd like to see every viewer write their congressman, call the DEA and say, hey, quit wasting our money going after this harmless hemp. Go after the problem, the real problem, which is the tweakers, the meth users. They're psychotic. I mean, the drug is one of the, it's the worst junk drug that there is out there. It's just absolutely absurd that they're wasting time and effort going after hemp when they could be going after these stinking tweakers.
Well, the thing is, a hemp grower will very rarely injure them, where the methamphetamine addicts can be quite dangerous.
Oh, they are. It's just they're crazy. I mean, those people are just totally nuts, and they stay awake for anywhere from 3 to 10 days. I heard one guy tell me a story of his roommate stayed awake for 27 days.
You get pretty psychotic after just a couple days. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Well, I'll get off my soapbox, but all you people out there watching this, call the DEA, call your congressman, write your congressman, say, hey, why are you wasting money going after hemp growers when you should be going after the real dangerous items out there, which is namely methamphetamine, the worst. I mean, that's the devil incarnate right there.
True. I agree with you.
I'll get off my soapbox. Thanks
thank you.
Keeping up the good work.
And I would just also add, you know, I think writing your congressmen and senators in the state and the federal legislature is probably more effective than calling the DEA, because the DEA, they just don't care. That's why they work for the DEA to start with. All too often, they want to pocket the proceeds from selling the marijuana they seize, and that's just a matter of fact. marijuana prohibition leads to corruption in the police, and we need to end adult marijuana prohibition, restore industrial hemp, and that's what we're all about here at Hemp and Cannabis Foundation and the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp. And here at this TV show, Cannabis Common Sense, end adult marijuana prohibition and restore industrial hemp.
Where is Hempstock going to be again? Where's the location?
We're going to be at the Selwood Riverfront Park on September 8th and 9th. We'll be there all day, September 8th and 9th, down. That's a Saturday and Sunday, right after Labor Day.
What time does it start and finish?
10 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday we start, and on Saturday we end at 10 p.m., and on Sunday ends at 6 p.m.
So that's a little park just north of the Selwood Bridge on the east end of the river there?
Exactly, right there by Oaks Park. Exactly.
Okay, great.
We're going to have Tommy Chong there as the MC and a lot of great bands. Everyone was really amazed how good the music was last year. I think you'll find out we've got people equally talented as Mr. Tim Pate here who'll be opening the festivities.
Excellent. Well, hey, you guys keep up the good work. Thanks again. Take care.
Thank you.
And it's okay to be on your soapbox. Around here we do that every Friday night.
That's true. That's what it's our rare opportunity to grab the soapbox for a change. Talk about ending marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp.
Something we both believe in.
That's true. You know, we have a couple of nifty products here from Living Harvest. This is made up in British Columbia, but distributed right here in Portland. It is really tasty. You got to try this stuff. Here's the vanilla one, and here's the chocolate one, and I just highly recommend this stuff. It's good. It's good for you. Has a lot of the good things that you need to make yourself healthy. And I think we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on our show. No, we don't have another caller. Well, what the heck? What can I say? Well, I think Tim has gone over here and is preparing to play another song for us in closing. I want to first of all tell you that if you're out there and you think you might qualify for medical marijuana or a loved one might qualify for medical marijuana, then you can call us. We have dozens of physicians across the western United States that can help you. Call us at that number that's there on your screen. It's 503-235-4606. That's the number here in Portland, 503-235-4606. If you're up in Seattle, the Seattle number is 206-878-1701. There, popped on the screen. That's 206-878-1701. Just like magic. Good work in the control room there. Now, if you are in Denver, the Denver number is 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. And if you're anywhere in the western United States, whether it be Colorado, Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, or Hawaii, where I'm going to fly to tomorrow to see 250 patients next week, then call our toll-free number at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. And we will be happy to help you. I guess we have another phone caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi, Paul.
Howdy.
I was wondering if you could make some kind of comment or let us know what's going on with Don DuPay with that article we saw in Portland Tribune.
Don has set up his own little dispensary, and he's had some problems with the federal government, and the feds have decided that he's a target, and the people he's associated with are a target. And so, given that he opened a dispensary on his own, that was something that we didn't recommend. You know, the law in Oregon, the medical marijuana law here says sales are not allowed. But I'm sure he did it to help patients. But still, it's drawn the interest of the federal government. So our attorneys actually asked him to step off the show and while all this stuff's going on.
Okay.
And so he has had the DEA come in and visit him, and you know, we wish him the best. I personally think he's a warrior, and he's out there fighting a good fight. But we got to pick our fights very carefully. There's so many out there we can fight. We've got to pick the ones that are going to be the most beneficial to our movement and our family and our friends. And so he's picked the one that he's decided to take, and I hope his path only leads to better things for him.
Definitely. Well, thank you. I'll see you at Hemp Fest.
All right. I look forward to seeing all of you down at the Hemp Fest here. There's all the conditions that qualify for medical marijuana. We're going to have to wrap up, though, and let Tim take us out on a song. And you can see him tomorrow at the Seattle Hemp Fest, or you can see him at the Portland Hemp Stock coming up on September 8th and 9th at Sellwood Riverfront Park. I want to thank you for watching. Tune in next week. We'll have another exciting live show for you next week. But until then, just remember, restore hemp. Good night.